The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as the massive view screen flickered to life. Ambassador Zethric's scales shifted nervously as he watched the approaching fleet, hundreds of vessels moving in perfect formation through the void. The ships were unlike anything in their databases, sleek, predatory things that seemed to drink in starlight rather than reflect it. "Identification request denied," came the cold transmission. "This is Queen Alvina of the Terran Sovereignty. We demand an immediate audience with the Galactic Council." Zethric's blood ran cold. Terran sovereignty? That was impossible. The humans had been declared extinct after the Kepler 442b incident nearly 2 decades ago. The Council had personally overseen the sterilization of that troublesome colony world. "There are no surviving human colonies," Zethric transmitted back, his voice betraying none of his inner turmoil. "State your true identity and purpose." The response came not in words but in action. One of the smaller vessels detached from the formation, and in a display of impossible precision, traced the exact orbital pattern of lost Kepler 432b around the chamber's central holographic display. The message was unmistakable. Admiral Raffi stood beside Queen Alvina on the bridge of the flagship Retribution, watching the Council's pathetic attempts at denial with cold satisfaction. His weathered face, marked by years of survival and warfare, showed no emotion as he monitored the tactical displays. "Your Majesty," he said quietly, "the Council is mobilizing their defense fleet, 3,000 vessels moving to intercept." Alvina's lips curved into a smile that held no warmth. She had been just a child when the Council's peacekeeping forces had arrived at Kepler 442b, claiming the human colony was developing prohibited weapons technology. She remembered hiding in the underground shelters as orbital bombardment turned their green world into a wasteland. She remembered her parents' final transmission, promising they would find a way to survive, to grow strong, to return. "Let them come," she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had transformed refugees into conquerors. "It's time they learned what human innovation truly looks like when we're no longer bound by their treaties." The first Council ships entered weapons range and opened fire, their plasma cannons and particle beams lighting up space in brilliant displays of destruction. The human fleet didn't even raise shields. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy weapons simply bent around the human ships, as if space itself was rejecting the attacks. "Impossible," Zethric whispered from his command ship. "No, technology can manipulate space-time on that scale." Raffi's tactical display showed the enemy's confusion, their desperate attempts to understand how their weapons were being negated. 20 years of hidden development on the colony ships had yielded technologies the Council couldn't fathom. Dimensional folding, quantum displacement, matter conversion, all theorized by human scientists but never developed under the Council's watchful restrictions. "Raffi," Alvina said softly, "show them what we learned in the dark between stars." The Admiral nodded and transmitted a single command. The human fleet moved as one organism, each ship phase-shifting slightly out of normal space. They passed through the Council's defensive formations like ghosts, emerging behind the enemy lines. But these weren't the desperate refugees who had fled Kepler 442b. These were the children of survivors, raised in the harsh crucible of deep space, trained from birth for this moment. The Council ships found themselves facing weapons that defied physics as they understood it. Quantum disruptors that unraveled molecular bonds. Temporal displacement cannons that aged targets centuries in seconds. Gravity wells that crushed matter into neutronium cores. But the most terrifying weapon was human adaptability itself. Every Council tactic, every formation, every strategy, the humans countered it instantly, as if they had fought this battle 1,000 times before. Because in a way they had. Every simulation, every training exercise for 2 decades had been preparation for this exact scenario. "Surrender," Alvina's voice echoed across all frequencies as the Council fleet burned around them. "You destroyed our home. You scattered our people. You declared us extinct. But you made one critical error. You let some of us escape." Zethric watched his mighty fleet crumble in minutes. The humans weren't just winning. They were demonstrating absolute technological superiority. Each destroyed council ship revealed new impossibilities. Human vessels that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, weapons that ignored conventional physics, and coordination that suggested a hive-mind level of tactical awareness. We were a single colony then, Alvina continued, her image now broadcast to every surviving council ship. Farmers, scientists, teachers. You turned us into something else. You forced us to become apex predators in the dark between stars. We learned. We adapted. We grew strong. The last council battleship's shields failed, its hull buckling under, weapons that attacked the fundamental forces holding matter together. Zethric found himself transported aboard the human flagship, materializing on the bridge through some impossible technology that bypassed every known defense. He stood before Queen Alvina, seeing in her eyes the same determination that had once marked humanity as the most dangerous species in the galaxy. She was young, perhaps 30, but carried herself with the weight of absolute power. Behind her, Admiral Raffi watched with the patience of a predator. The council vote was unanimous, Zethric said desperately. Your colony was developing weapons that threatened your monopoly on power, Alvina finished. Yes, we know. We also know about the other colonies you've destroyed. The Centauri settlement, the Proxima research station, the civilian transport you intercepted near Vega.Zethric's scales paled. Those operations had been classified beyond top secret. Here are your new reality parameters, the Queen continued. Humanity is no longer bound by council treaties. We claim sovereignty over our original territories and reparations for genocide. You will withdraw all forces from former human space within 1 standard year. She gestured to the tactical display showing the devastation of the council fleet. This was our greeting. Continue to deny our existence and you'll learn what our farewells look like. As Zethric was transported back to his crippled vessel, he realized the true horror of what the council had done. They hadn't destroyed humanity's ambitions. They had unleashed them. The scattered survivors had spent 2 decades becoming something beyond the council's ability to comprehend or control. The lost colony hadn't just returned. They had evolved into humanity's avenging angels, and their queen held the power to reshape the galaxy's balance of power with a single word. The age of council dominance was over. The era of human sovereignty had begun.